said, when my dad died, he said, I wasn't there for him. And I have always felt guilty because of that. My dad went through this terrible cancer and he just got worse and worse. And I was so scared and I didn't want to see him like that. I wanted to remember him the way he was before he got sick. And unlike my brother who kept on being with him, I kept pulling away. And when he died, it was so hard. I felt so guilty. It was like I felt like I had killed him. And my heart is breaking. And he went on about how during all of these years, that piece of guilt has, or through all the therapy of whatever sorts it was, that little piece of guilt has sat there and festered. And no one ever knew about it. His mother never knew about it. No one. This is the first time he had actually admitted that he felt he had, because he was 12, because he was scared, he didn't want to see his dad, he pulled away, that he was responsible for his dad dying. This is a huge burden for a 12-year-old to hold. And then to carry it all of these years, and not one therapist had the insight, the compassion, the wherewithal to quietly allow this young man to dig deeper, to release and say the words that he'd been wanting to say. It took him 14 years. So once he had said that, the tears were flowing from him, and the tears were flowing with me. And I was so humbly grateful to witness this amazing freedom that was being birthed at this point. He then started to tell some funny little things that he remembered about his dad, some things that about his brother. There was a lightness that was allowed to be present. And we sat there for probably, an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. I have no idea. And I just allowed him to share. And every now and again he'd look at me and I would give him prompt or say something. And it would come to me and I would say it, and then he would go off on another point of view. And it was all to do with the same topic. And the feeling of release that this young man had in being able to verbalize it in a safe environment was witnessed. At the end of the afternoon, he told me, he says, my mom has no idea of this. And I said, it is safe with me. It's up to you if you would like to go and tell her. I will not break your confidence. He said, thank you. He said, do you know what my mom does? And I went, no, I don't. She's a psychologist. And she went through some really, really hard times when my dad died, and then when her parents died a long time earlier. So I know that she has had a lot of really hard times. And so I didn't want to ever burden her with the way I was feeling. So once again, my heart nearly broke. I said, "You're safe, and you can talk with me anytime you want. Just call. And if I don't pick up, I will call you back." And so at the end of the day, we said our goodbyes, hugs from Mom, hugs from John, and gratitude, and I drove back to Charlottesville. And I heard from him a couple of times afterwards, maybe 2-3 weeks would go by, and just, "Oh, I've got this idea, blah, blah, blah," and he would tell me, and he's got a new job, and he's going to do this, and he's back in Florida, and doing this, that, and the other, blah, blah, and he was just going on, and he sounded very different, and so I honored that, and I spoke to him about it, and I said, "You sound great." And then it was probably another few months that went by. And his mother calls me. And she said, "I have some news for you." She said, "I need to tell you that John took his life." And I was like, I was sad, but I was deep inside. I wasn't specifically surprised. And she said, he went back to Florida, and she said, "This is amazing that he was never an organized person, and that's what we criticized him for. And he took care of every detail. He finalized his lease. He got the phone cut off, the electricity. He wrote letters to his brother. He wrote letters to me. He took care of all of the things that he needed to take care of. He wrote a letter, one personally to me, and then one that included and had your name in it. And he wrote, and he wanted me to share it with you. And of course, by this time, like now, the tears are just flowing. And he said, "Please tell Ophelia that it has nothing to do with the work that we did. Please tell her she is the only person who has ever told me the truth. She is the only person I have ever trusted with all of the things of my life. And I am great gratitude to her and want her to know that she has helped me get to this point." And I said to his mom, and I was like, "Oh my." And she said, "I'm not surprised." And I went, "I am not either." And he said at the end of the letter, "Now I can go and be with my dad." As therapists, as spiritual guides, as teachers, as in the position of being requested or asked or shown that we have clients that are very, very vulnerable, clients and patients, whatever you want to call them, these beautiful people that are in turmoil for all sorts of reasons. And I am very blunt. I've had many experiences. This was probably the most dramatic in this manner. And I am very blunt that the entire mental health, psychology, psychotherapy, psychiatry world is based on theoretical information. It is academic. It has lost any connection to the reality of the highest divine realms of the world of 3D world, emotional, mental, and spiritual worlds all coming together. They are all play out, and it's all about the almighty dollar. What would have happened if just one therapist somewhere in the 14 years that this young man was counseled, listened to, prescribed drugs, told that he needs to change his personality, change who he is because he doesn't fit in, and he needs to go and fit into society the way society wants, not the way he is? What would have happened if one person would have been able to touch him and allow him to release all of that information somewhere within the midst of that 14 years? The outcomes could have been majorly different. Major doors could have been opened. That guilt would not have eaten so deep and so pervasively into his psyche that he believed he was responsible for his father's death. That is horrific. And as far as I'm concerned, there's no excuse for it. I'm an ordained minister. I am a trained medicine woman in the Lakota disciplines. I had a Lakota elder who took me through many paths. Back in the 80s, I went through in some training in the Mayan mystery schools. I've dabbled in the Egyptian mystery schools. I have sought out and seeked all sorts of modalities of ancient and esoteric sciences like the I Ching and the Kabbalah and Western and Eastern astrologies and energy work. And I've created my own, through guidance, my own modality, which for a long time was so powerful beyond words that nobody could even tell me what it was called, because I had no idea what to call it. And I would come up with a name, and they would go, no, that's not it. No, that's not it. And it finally did take a psychotherapist who actually experienced the work that I did. And it took a while, and then she came into me one day and said, I know what your modality is called. It's intra-energetic alignment. She said, that's exactly what happens within. And it's so subtle and so powerful, because all the senses are activated at the same time. It's like, oh, yes. So my perspective comes from multiple views. And a long time ago, I wanted to go and get a psychology degree. And my higher guidance says, no, you are not to go into that academic arena, because we want your mind and brain and spirit to be open to take in everything and then know how to put it together. If you get into the academic mind and mode, you will be in a box, and so much will be lost. For that I am eternally grateful. The test that I gave